Hey, what's up, everybody? Another Saturday morning, another stream that I don't know if it's going to be good, but we're here. I hope you're all doing amazing. Thank you for joining us. It's going to be a lot of fun. I stream Friday night, 9 p.m. CST time, and Saturday mornings, 11 a.m. CST time. Today, we're going to talk about a lot of cool stuff. I keep saying that every show. Today, we're going to talk about some cool project ideas, because I have like my standard, like if you're learning to code, here's what I recommend you should do, here's the order. But then I wanted to give you some other project ideas that you could think about when building things for your portfolio. So I do want to talk about that today. It's going to be a lot of fun. Then I also want to talk about what I'm building, what I'm learning, kind of share with you, kind of what I've been working on, and give you some tips of the week. But it's going to be pretty cool. Hey, Sharon, great to see you here. Welcome. While we wait for people to trickle in, not that I get massive views on these streams anyway, but we're going to, give it a minute. How you doing, Sharon? I hope you're having a wonderful Saturday. Yeah, so we're going to have fun. We have bunch more people jumping in. Let me say hello to everybody, because you want to say hello to all the awesome people. Hey, how's it going from Sharkeet Spark? Hey, doing great. I hope you're doing awesome and having a good time. So while people trickling in, I'll just say what we're going to do. Today we're going to talk about cool projects to build for your portfolio. I have like the standard recommendation, kind of like, okay, this is what you have to build, but I want to kind of add to that based on kind of like what I've been doing, and also like figuring out that sometimes you might have like this fatigue of like building traditional things. So it'll be kind of nice to have what cool other things you could build for your portfolio. I also want to kind of talk about some fun things I've done. I went on a stream with Cody from WebDev Cody. Check out his channel. It's really awesome. And we did pair programming, which was a lot of fun. So I want to kind of mention that experience, what it was like. I want to talk about like what I'm building, what I'm doing, and stuff like that. So I think we're gonna have a lot of fun. I keep saying that to myself. Also, for those of you who don't know, and maybe you do know, but you're like, Paul, you haven't been like engaging in that community. I am kind of like back trying to because I don't have Discord, and people ask me like, do you have a community that we could join? And so yes, I do. And I'm in the process of like, I've been so busy with things, but I'm in the process of jumping back into it. And so I do have a community. And you could join our Coding After 30 community, where I'm going to start posting some of the videos earlier. So I have a video that I'm posting earlier that's scheduled for Monday on YouTube. But anyway, like cool things. If you want to chat with me, again, I'm trying to get back and be more live on here. So if people do want to talk to me, of course, you could talk to me on YouTube, Twitter. But here's another community. And if you want to join, you could go to codingafter30@gmail.com, and this site is not done. I just wanted to make the form work so people have an easier way for them to kind of, ask a request to join our completely free community. So you could like fill out this form to do so and do it. So if you want, if you're interested, no big deal. You could go ahead and do that. And so the first thing I want to talk about, the theme of the show, and if people are going to jump in late or not jump in at all, it's fine. Like they could always rewatch the stream, but I want to talk about project portfolios to build when you're starting out. And if you're brand new, I still will recommend, the front end path to kind of, go through the steps that will help you learn like a basic, understanding of web development, especially if you're going with front end. And let me bring up my Miro board where I have my curriculum or my outline that I had for myself when I was learning to code. I'm not saying this is a path that did I have a different one? Let's see. Like I have too many things. Developer roadmap. Here you go. I'll bring it up in just a second. That's not the right one. Roadmap front end. This is the one. And so I have this like roadmap that I did. I'll put it in the chat also for anyone that's interested and want to check it out. Here you are. But let me share my screen. And here's the projects that I recommend as a bare minimum. And then I'll talk about like some of the other ideas that I have. So, and this is like, I created this like roadmap as a general guideline for myself, and I could talk about it a little bit more. But the idea when you're learning like to become a front-end developer, there's certain things like you should know. Like you should know HTML, CSS, and Sass. You should know JavaScript. You should know some sort of framework like React. You should have some understanding of consuming APIs, working with databases. Now, like knowing TypeScript is super important. So I used to not like TypeScript, but we have no choice. We have to learn. Like Next.js is a good framework to learn. And so the idea is, what I would recommend is for people, you know, when you look at my outline for the curriculum, we have, you know, learn HTML, CSS, learn JavaScript. Yeah, I say like you should be familiar with GitHub, learn React, you know, consuming APIs, working with databases, TypeScript, and Next.js. And so the way I would break this down, and of course, like the way I tell people go through their course, by the way, is if you take a course that's on Udemy, you don't need a lot of courses. You just need one. Make sure you go through the course completely, build all the projects with the course. But before you continue, go ahead and build your own version based on what you learn. So this way, you're going to have at least like one HTML, CSS project, one JavaScript project, you know, one React project, and so on. But what I typically used to recommend for folks, you know, learning to code is you build the basic project and you do it like this. You learn HTML and CSS, and so your first project you build is going to be based on what you've learned with HTML and CSS. Then you learn a little bit of JavaScript, and what you do is you go ahead and you add some JavaScript functionality to your first HTML and CSS project you build. The second project I recommend you build, once you learn a little bit of React, and how to work with other APIs, your second project should be a React project where you're working with an API to get data, to do something cool. And then lastly, you have your kind of cornerstone project, which includes like having CRUD functionality, dealing with authentication, and you could build it either completely from scratch, or I recommend using your favorite framework and working with, you know, like a CMS, headless CMS, something like Strappy, which allows you to build your backend API really quickly, and that way you could focus on building the front end. If you never use Strappy, you could check it out at strappy.io. Literally my favorite headless CMS, not just because I work there, but just because it's pretty awesome. And so now I want to talk about some projects outside of that normal recommendation, where before I was like, okay, build a HTML, CSS, JavaScript website, then take that website, convert it to React, where you talk to an API to just get some basic data to kind of, you know, that's why people do that Pokemon website, which I don't understand why people like Pokemon so much. And, you know, and then lastly, you have a cornerstone project. But while thinking about it, I was like, you know what? Sometimes people get sick and tired of like just focusing on these huge projects. So why not think about some smaller project ideas that you can do in between to kind of help you to continue learning to code, but also doing something fresh. And so a couple of things that I've been doing in the past and diving into, it's, you know, creating CLI tool. Like for instance, you could make a command line interface tool that does something super simple that maybe helps you to automate a task or somehow helps you to be more productive or not. But the idea is like hey, let me learn how to make a CLI with Node.js and how to do something cool. And so I made one where you're able to, actually I could demonstrate it if it still works, but I made a CLI tool. Let me open a new shell, new window. Let me make this bigger. And this is, I'm not that smart, so I didn't have this as a original idea. Let me share my screen here. I didn't have this as an original idea, but this is something one of my friends, Simon, did. And he came on stream kind of like talking us through how to do this. But you could make a CLI, for instance, if you type npx meet Paul, right? And if it's not broken and still works, I made a little portfolio site, which is basically a CLI command. So this is like a cool little project you could do. And again, it's something fun, something different, but you're still learning programming and stuff like that. You can also build, you know, a Chrome extension, something else that I started to focus on, which I think is kind of cool and neat. So I built this, I just finished the other day. I built this extension for Chrome that will basically take short format videos, right? Like this one, and convert it into a full blog post. So, and again, like you don't have to go this crazy, but it's just an idea of kind of creating cool things and kind of stepping out of your comfort zone and building things that you typically wouldn't build. And again, you're not doing the same old project, you're trying something different, right? And I think that's like really cool, like idea and benefit of it. And of course on stream, I don't know if it's just taking a long time to do the thing that it's doing. Oh, it didn't crash, thank God. Here you are. So we basically took a short and we converted it to this amazing blog post, like really, really awesome. And like that's an example of building a Chrome extension, something fun, something cool you can do. And let me say hello here. Hey Northern Chip, hey Ankita. And by the way, if you have cool ideas for projects that you build, let me know in the chat. Love to hear from all of you. I mean, the best part about these live streams, I love to hear from you and what you've been up to. So don't be shy, talk in the chat, let me know what you're doing. But yeah, so like, you know, building something cool, like building an extension, kind of like I did here. And you know, and like this is kind of cool because like I didn't know how to build extensions before, and so this was like a good learning journey where I was like, well, how would I do that? How would I start an extension? And again, this is like, I'm so proud of myself, even though it's not like a big feat of amazing coding here, but basically taking short videos and, you know, converting them to amazing blog post, which is, I don't know, why would you do that? Like, I don't know, but it's just a fun thing to do. And so outside of like your typical projects, like try some of these new things to get out of your comfort zone and kind of play with it. And here we go. Here's another article based on this short. And by the way, speaking of this, the coolest thing I just did recently is doing pair programming with Web Dev Cody. You could go check out his channel. It was a lot of fun. And the cool part about it, and I'll actually use my tool here to, well, I closed it already. I got it, but let me switch screens here for a second. Yeah, so like the we'll continue with our cool projects to build, but I just wanted to mention, if you've never done pair programming, find a friend, part of the community. If you ever want to do pair programming on my channel, I'm not really like good at those because this is something new that I started doing. But check out the stream I did with Web Dev Cody on his YouTube channel. We did pair programming, and we did this idea called strict pair programming, where you have a time limit, let's say 10 minutes, and every 10 minutes you switch roles. You have your driver and you have your navigator. Driver is the person who controls the keyboard and they will type the code, and navigator tells the person what to type. And then after 10 minutes you switch, and it was a really good way to collaborate with somebody building something cool. And also it's a great way to learn to program and a great way to share knowledge. So definitely wanted to mention that. So we talked about building a CLI tool. I showed like a quick example of what I built. We talked about building Chrome extensions. That's kind of cool. Another thing you could do, and I'll use Strappy as an example because that's what I did, but you could build plugins, and there's lots of different software out there that create an ecosystem where you could build plugins. And for Strappy, we have Strappy Marketplace. And what you can do is you can go ahead and build plugins for Strappy. It's kind of neat, kind of cool. And this is another way and something you could do to build for your portfolio project and share with other people. And so for our Strappy, we have this marketplace where you could build a plugin. You could share your plugin with others. And when you build, let's say, a plugin and you have it hosted, let's say, on something like Strappy Marketplace, that's a cool thing that you could show on your resume. It's like, hey, I built this CK editor. I didn't build this one, but let's say I built this cool CK editor custom field, or I built the calendar plugin for Strappy. You could check it out on, their marketplace. And I think this is really awesome. It's another great way to step out of your comfort zone and build something cool. And so I don't have any publicly published plugins, but I made this Strappy plugin called AI Powered. I'm still working on this, but this basically allows you to integrate OpenAI to get cool stuff done. So, and while building this plugin, I learned like bunch of cool stuff, like for instance, how to interact with OpenAI API, how like to structure plugins for Strappy. And because this is all JavaScript, this was like really cool. And so I recommend, going ahead and, doing something like that. Another thing that you could do, for instance, is instead of building a full website, instead of building a CLI tool, instead of building a Chrome extension, build a little widget for your website. Maybe build like a clock calendar widget where people could see all the appointment and events that you have coming up. Or you could build something, that showcases like where you've been eating for past week. So instead of trying to build a whole website, think of like cool use cases of like building mini widgets that you could have on your website that do something cool. And the cool thing about widgets, you could create them in such a way where they're self-contained, that it's like, hey, I have this one website that I want to use this widget. You could use the same code there. Because you build it in a very modular way. You could have another website here. I want to use this widget there. You could easily do that. And you could create a bunch of different widgets that do a bunch of different things. And you could use them as building blocks to pull things together. So I don't have any good widget examples today because I've been building Chrome extensions instead. That's kind of like the rabbit hole I'm diving into. And if you have a question or want to chat, let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know of all the cool ideas or projects you've building. I think it'll be pretty awesome to hear about and share. By the way, if you're watching the stream and you're like, hey, like I can't comment because I'm not a subscriber, for these streams that I do Fridays and Saturdays, they're more for like the people that are subscribers in the community. I want to give them something for them that they could participate with me. So, don't be shy, talk about cool things you're doing. And you could always rewatch these streams, by the way, if you miss them, no big deal. So we talked about a couple of different things. So another cool thing you could do is think of like creating a microservice website. And one example I could do is like think of something like that people want, like for instance, maybe there's like, I can't think of like really good examples off the top of my head, but let's say people who search, like who want to be writers, but they want to have a faster way of writing like posts and stuff like that. You could create like a writing helper tool, which allows people to, like when they're trying to come up with topic ideas, you could create something like a topic idea generator, right? Which also provides like an outline at the same time, so people could quickly put a topic in, see like a recommended outline, and then it could be like, maybe I should not write about this, maybe I should write about it. And you could create a little microservice website where people go in and they put their ideas and they get a list of outline of like things to explore. I know it's like not the best example, but it doesn't almost matter what it is, but you're basically creating a service that it's kind of niched down, small enough, does a very particular thing, but at the same time, you're practicing like cool development concept. Like in that case, you would learn how to work with OpenAI, how to connect to the API, how to, create those topic outline recommendation based on the prompt or the title that people submit. And this is kind of cool. I know Web Dev Cody, I forgot what the website is. I will have to figure out share it, but he created a cool service using DALL-E, which generates and creates cool looking icons using OpenAI, DALL-E, and a bunch of other stuff. And he created and turned it into an actual service that people pay money for, which is kind of cool. And building these type of projects, I think it's pretty awesome. Now, one thing, if you're brand new, I'm going to say this. A lot of times, if you look at any website, by the way, actually, like if my mind jumps around a lot, I learned recently that I have ADHD, which is like, it's kind of insane to me, and that explains a lot of things about me. But I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I'm so excited. Randomly go all over the place, so I have to remind myself standpoint. But I kind of wanted to share, like, when I talk about like little microservice idea, you could make something like YouTube to MP3 converter, right? It doesn't have to be something like crazy, right? You could build something like this where you just go ahead and add a URL, click convert, and it will generate a MP3 file for you. And this is something you could build, and I realize I'm not sharing my screen, but this is something you could build, and it's like a cool idea, and there's like actually pretty cool learning that you have to do. And by the way, if you haven't smashed the like button, you don't have to smash it for me, but smash it to all the awesome people that are on stream today. Another cool one I saw, which was like super simple, but there's like title case, I think there's a bunch of them. Yeah, title case converter. So you put in your title, and there's a couple of different options that you want. Do you want this style? Do you want this style? Do you want blue box style, like MLA like style? And it will convert your heading into the proper format, which is kind of interesting. So you don't have to make these huge projects. You could start with these little ones, which still teach you cool things about web development and stuff like that. Hey Horace, good to see you. Hope you're having an amazing Saturday, and I hope you're having a wonderful day, and thanks for joining. I know it's Easter weekend, so I don't expect a lot of people being here, but we're just having fun talking about like kind of projects to build. I already talked about some cool things, show some cool examples. We talked about building CLI tools. We talked about a cool idea. We talked about building Chrome extensions, plugin, building like a cool widget that you could put on your website. And so the last 3 things I want to talk about is when you're working with websites, pretty much every website is some sort of form. And so creating just a standalone like thing where you're basically doing form submission and show some examples of forms. Let me bring it in, and you just kind of go through the whole process. Let me build out this form. Let me sign up. Yeah, here's an example, right? Something simple, and you could make your form as complex as possible, but instead of like trying to just focus on the whole website, why don't you build out like a cool form, like a sign up form that has a bunch of different, and this is like like a simple example, but you could have like a multi-step form, and make sure you incorporate your like authentication to make sure that if people don't add a proper field, like if you require an email, like make sure that they enter email. If certain fields like required, they can't be missing. So make sure like focus on building a cool form which checks and authenticates the fields to make sure they're entered. Add some like logic to make sure that if people provide a credit card number, it has to be in the proper format, stuff like that. You could have like different boxes and options. And so that's another cool thing. And the one thing I was going to say with forms are everywhere in the website. Pretty much everything you do on the form, like a website, when you're entering information is some variation of the form. So if you build a project specifically focusing on forms and try to get into the nitty gritty things, like because you're just focusing on building such a narrow thing, you're able to go deeper on like some of the most important like concepts of website building, because everything is pretty much a glorified to-do app with a form. That's pretty much every website. So that's a cool idea. And another thing you could also do is you could take a look at how to use different authentication providers. Like for instance, how to use GitHub to sign up. I think like this project I was working on, I kind of had to stop because I got really busy at work, but I will come back to it at some point. I think it's called devhunt.io. If it's probably still broken, but so here I have this login function, which incorporates logging in with GitHub. So when you click on this, what it'll do, and the login still works, it uses the GitHub auth provider and allows me to log in. And the data, like my name and the information in the profile, it comes from my GitHub account. And so I'm glad to see that this still works. Pretty cool stuff. And so working with authentication, creating your own authentication, working with providers, that's another good topic to get into and another cool thing to do and cool projects to build. And if you haven't done too much with authentication, it's going to be hard. It's still hard, but play around with them and kind of try all the difference. Like, how does Google OAuth works, or how do you implement your own authentication from scratch? By the way, if you're looking to find a good example of Remix run, if you're looking to find, first of all, I've been really loving Remix. Remix is really awesome. If you're just starting out learning to code, I still say like learn React and Next.js, but Remix is one of my favorite frameworks. But what's awesome, if you ever want to see how to do custom authentication, they do have this blog tutorial that you could check out. It's built with their IndyStack, and IndyStack out of the box includes basic like auth and how to do it. And so you could go ahead and look through the code and see how they implemented it and how it works. You could also just check it out on GitHub. Let me see, does this take me to the GitHub? Yeah, and so if you take a look here, you could look at the app, you could go to routes. Actually, let me do this. And come on. Yeah, and so you could take a look at this application. This application, they have their sign up, their login. So if you like click sign up, it'll take you to the sign up page. And what's cool, you could like literally look at their app. They're using Prisma and I think SQLite in this project. And you could kind of check like, okay, like if I want to go to login component here, what are they doing? And so they're okay, they're passing the form information, and then they have bunch of functions like verify login, all this other, create user session, and you're like, oh, why are they doing it? Oh, they're storing the user information in the cookie. You could go to the definition. You could, okay, let's go to this file session server. So you could read the code and kind of learn how authentication is done from scratch. So you could take a look here, like, hey, they're using, they're creating a cookie whenever someone logs in. They have a couple of these other options. They have this get user function to see if a user is logged in. If the user's, you know, not the right user, like go ahead, like log them out and stuff. And so this is like a cool example, and I'll share this with you here. If you're curious, you could check it out, Remix IndyStack. But you could kind of see how they implement authentication from scratch, and you could go ahead and build your own version of that. And I think that's kind of a really cool way to learn about things and build things. So yeah, so moving on. And lastly, the one thing that I would say, I know I always say people want to, like, you have to start with, you know, start front end and then slowly go into full stack. But what I would say is that for me, when I first started out, I just didn't know much about the backends and stuff like that. So in my case, what I would do is I would create an API with Strapi, which will like takes 2 minutes to set up out of the box, literally add some content types, and boom, I have a working API to which I could do full CRUD functionality. For instance, you're able to create, read, update, delete, and I don't have to create that backend myself. But what I would recommend as another project that will help you as a developer is to create a basic CRUD application. But instead of using, let's say, JSON server or using Strapi in my case, because it'll be really easy, why don't you try to see how to talk, and in a very basic level, by the way, you don't have to go too crazy, but how do you talk to the database? And if you're brand new, you could look at something like Prisma, right? Prisma makes it very easy. So you could set up a Postgres database and you could kind of figure out like, well, how do I use Prisma to talk to my application, which is kind of awesome. And then if you created a CRUD application with Prisma, but you're like, you know what, I like, this is an ORM that makes things easy for me. But if I wanted to do it myself, how could I do it? Well, you could use something like Connect.js, right? And it's a SQL query builder. And this will allow you, and you could like look at the examples, but this will allow you to kind of look, how can you use Connect on a more like literally closer level to the database and how to talk to it, right? And outside of like writing raw queries. So Connect is like a cool project. So build a simple to-do app, not so much for the front end where all your to-dos are stored in local storage. No, don't do that. I mean, you can do as your very first thing you build, but build it where you have a to-do app which calls your backend server. You could do this in Node.js, Express, you could use Koa, and use Connect to do very simple CRUD functionality, create, read, update, delete with your to-do app. And that will teach you very important like thing is like, how do you talk to databases? You don't have to be a database expert, but it'll teach you like, how do you talk to databases when working as a developer, which will become really, really important on your journey as you continue to learn. So I would definitely recommend. And so I build one where I use Koa and Prism. I think I switched to, because initially I built it with Connect to see like the lower level of implementation. But then I rebuilt that same application using Prisma to talk to my database. So those are the projects. So before like continue, let me like just quickly review what we talked about and then showcase my cool, if you missed it at the beginning of the show, my cool Chrome extension. So we talked about outside of like the typical things that I recommend, and let me kind of share. So I have this mirror board where I show like, as a front-end developer, what I think you should learn. This is what I use as an outline. I'm not saying you should use this as an outline either, but I have this roadmap. You could clone it, I think, or update it here. I'll share the link and you could make your own. But typically what I used to recommend for people like following this path was, you know, build one HTML, CSS project. Make sure you have that in your portfolio. And then move on to learning JavaScript. Once you learn JavaScript, go back to that same project you built, your HTML, CSS website, and sprinkle in some JavaScript. So now you have a basic website with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That's your first project. The second thing you should build is learn React and build your first React project that does a GET request to some sort of API. It doesn't have to be CRUD. Like just GET to show data on your website, you know, like a Pokemon thing. I don't know why people like Pokemon. I think more better API would be like, you know, create a website that rates all the Terminator models from Terminator 2 movie from strongest to weakest. I don't know, but build a React application that talks to an API that shows data. And your final project would be your, what I call your cornerstone project, which will be your full CRUD and authentication application, which includes like all the CRUD functionality, has this concept of a logged in user where a user has to log in, and you could use a headless CMS if you not like strong at backend development, which I highly recommend because you could build something useful really quickly, and you focus on more of the front end facing part of it, how to work with an API and make full CRUD an authentication request using fetch, and basically learn how to do that. But outside of that, right, like some people like, man, I want to do something different. So you could build a CLI tool, and this is the things we talked about today. You could build a Chrome extension. You could build a plugin. You could build a widget for a website that does something cool. You could do a microservice website, which has very narrow thing. Like for instance, Web Dev Cody created an awesome one where it auto-generates icons using DALL-E's OpenAI. You know, you could build an application which is like a really huge form which has all the validation, all this other stuff. You could build a little mini application that takes like an auth provider, could be like GitHub provider, auth or whatever, and you implement it, or you actually build your own like authentication provider. And I showed a good example using the code that you can find in the Remix blog tutorial. They literally set up the authentication themselves from scratch. And so that's kind of cool. And so before we move on to the next topic here, let me kind of show you like the just again the things I made. So one of the things I made is I'm trying to switch screens. That's not the screen I want to switch. And let me kill this again, clear. So I created this CLI a while ago. I made a bunch of other ones, but this was like a really fun project. And like if you want to show like a cool way to like show off your resume, so if you do npx meet Paul, this is like a CLI command that will basically go ahead and show my current like, you know, CV, my resume, my social links. It had another section here for recent posts, but I killed that website, so it's not showing up. I have to point to a new one. But this is like a very simple example. I also just recently built a cool Chrome extension. And I knew nothing about Chrome extensions, but I went ahead and built it. And I was like really proud of myself. It takes like short videos, right? And by the way, I did like a cool, on Web Dev Cody's channel, we did a pair programming session. Go check it out. It's pretty awesome. But I built a little, God damn it, Chrome extension. And by the way, like this even has authentication. I did it with Strappy. So because I'm using my OpenAI account, right? I don't want just anybody to be able to have access to my API token and be able to spam. And so you have to have your own account here as well. But once you have an account, what you're able to do, you're able to take short videos once you're logged in and convert the short content into epic blog posts. We'll see if it'll crash. It's not perfect, it's doing anything, but that's like another cool example of building something cool and interesting. And so yeah, and so like step out of your comfort zone, try building these mini projects in between building your projects for your portfolios while looking to get hired. I think it's like a really good and valuable thing to do. And here you go, we have our amazing you know, article that it wrote for us. Very fantastic. And this looks cool. It actually like added additional stuff to fluff up this awesome blog post. But yeah, we did this idea like we did pair programming, which was a lot of fun. And you have one driver, you have one navigator. And check it out. It was a lot of fun. So by the way, if you're in the chat, let me know how you're doing. Let me know how everybody's going. I hope you're all having a great weekend. Let me know like other type of content or things that you want me to discuss and chat about. One thing that I wanted to do, let me know if you think it's a cool idea. I was thinking of doing a hackathon of kind of like every month or maybe every 2 months and kind of creating a theme. Like maybe we could do our hackathon, which will be around creating Chrome extensions. Or hey, thanks Logic Indie, hope you're doing awesome. By the way, it's been a while since I chatted with you. How you doing? How you been? Logic Indie, man, props to him. I haven't like checked out your YouTube channel in a while, but you should go check out like some of the cool things he's building. He helped me learn about building a cool game. And let me tell you, if you're in game development, like I still gonna say that he does everything with like JavaScript, which is pretty phenomenal. He built some cool stuff, and I still like have no idea how he did some of that stuff. It's actually, I mean, like you have to learn and practice, and you'll get better, of course. But in my opinion, gaming development is way harder than web development. People could like call BS on that, but hey, yeah. But how you doing, Logic? Great to see you here, and I'm glad that you liked my extension here. Bliss saying, I'm taking notes. Thanks for all the tips. I am plugging away every day and always trying to find new ideas what to learn next. Yeah, 100%, and keep doing it. I made this video. I got so much flack for it, and people disliked it. So I doubled down anyway, because I was like, you know what? It's like learning to code is still a good option, even with all the ChatGPT 3 stuff. So I don't know if my volume up. Let me check if the volume is up here. but I made this short, got a lot of flack because I guess people don't have a sense of humor, but I made this short on, let's see here, let's make sure my video's out, kind of what YouTube programming or videos or experts say about ChatGPT, and will ChatGPT replace programmers? And I said YouTube experts say yes. And so, you know, I don't know what to tell you. I know you're probably like, man, I really wanted to like learn to code, or you're probably like going to be like one of those deniers. Like, I have my coding job and my job is going great, and ChatGPT is just making me more productive, and it's not going to like, it's just going to change the landscape, but we're still going to need the developers. You're probably like in like the flat earther denier like plan. But the point is, it's all no, like today, like go search a job, like literally today, not tomorrow, not yesterday. Go search a job today, and you're gonna find that they're all gone. They're all gone. There's literally no jobs for anybody, junior, senior, mid-level, whatever. It doesn't matter. They're all gone, and there's nothing left. And so I want to show you this video. We did the research. These are the first jobs to go, and the jobs are gonna like remain like the manual labor job, things that you physically have to do. And so that's what it is. So let me show you this video. This just came out today. It was a report on like why like you should not learn to code. It's like stupid. So let me go ahead and do that. Show you this video. You know, I don't know what to tell you. So I know you're probably like, man, a lot of people didn't like that video. I don't know why. I thought it was hilarious. I think you should make trolling videos. But the point of that video and why I wanted to make it is because I do talk to a bunch of people, and I've talked to some that literally gave up learning to code because of the fear of OpenAI, like ChatGPT 3, like what's going to 4, 5, 6, like OpenAI and everything else. And the truth is, it's just another tool that's going to help you. And the more you play with the tools, the more you realize it is a helpful tool, but it doesn't solve all the problems. Like coding is way more complex, but it does make your job a little bit easier. And so what I would say for anyone who's still learning to code, don't give up, use the tools that are available to you. And we could, in another stream, maybe you could talk about how, I'm using ChatGPT. If you want to see an example, I could share one with you, like how to use it to come up with project ideas, which is kind of cool. And Sharon says, hackathon sounds fun. Yeah, so maybe we could plan on doing something in May, and that way I have some more time to prepare, and we could do like every month, every 2 months. And I think it'll be a cool way to encourage people to do something, and we could do something where it's like build something in React, or build a Chrome extension, or build a CLI tool that does something cool, or, you know, build a website that's only powered by headless CMS. I think that's going to be fun. And so do I have any, let's see here, comments coming. And by the way, yeah, don't be shy, chat, talk about stuff. Love to hear from you. The Chrome extension is awesome. Well, thank you so much. I have lots of ideas, and the reason like why I'm building that Chrome extension is because I'm trying to learn a couple of other things that I need to do for a project idea that I have. So I want to create an extension that basically allows you. So imagine like you're watching a YouTube video and you're like, man, like I want to clip out like a part of it, but I don't want to like edit the video. And so I want to create a tool which will show you a YouTube video, and you'll see the transcription, and you'll be able to copy that transcribed text and paste it into a different window. Then you could go to another video, copy like part of the transcription, paste it into that same video. And then when you hit process, what it's going to do, it's going to create a new video based off the video clips that you just watched, and the way you edited the video, not like physically like editing it, but you literally did it by copying and pasting. So like, I don't have a good example, but hold on a second. Let me bring up, show you what I mean. So imagine, oh goodness. This is just like a random example, but this is what I want to build. Imagine like you have a video transcript from different videos. So the way you'll be able to edit the video is literally by copying the text, clicking copy and pasting it to a new window, right? And then whatever you paste here from the transcript is going to go ahead, take that video clip and cut it out. And then you could paste bunch more different video clips, click process, and it will create one video based on those multiple videos. So that's what I'm trying to build. I have no idea how to do that. And what I'm doing is basically taking one step at a time. So the plugin that I showed you here that basically will allow me to take and let me summarize my trolling video. And so like I created the first few steps of how to take a video, transcribe it, and in this case, I'm converting it to a blog post. But the basic idea, I'm slowly learning the technologies that I need to do to help me to implement my bigger project idea. So my next step is I need to figure out how to transcribe videos with time codes, because those are the time codes that I'm going to have to use to be able to cut and edit the video. But yeah, nice. Why should you not learn to code in today's automated world? This was like a trolling post, by the way, but this is hilarious that that it wrote this blog post. Jesus Christ, I'm gonna save it for later and share it as another trolling post. No, people, please don't quit learning to code. Learn to code. AI is not going to take and destroy jobs. It might reshuffle some jobs, but the idea here is that it's just another tool that will help you do your job better. So like, don't get shy. And if you want to see how I use ChatGPT 3, 4, 5, like, let me know. I'll definitely love to share that. And so let's see, we talked about all this other stuff. What else did I want to mention in today's show? So I want to actually quick shout out. So obviously I don't have any paid sponsors, but if you want to create an API really quickly, one of the best ways to do it is use a headless CMS, and my favorite is Strappy. Also, I've been doing a new podcast with 3 of my friends, Bobby, Kevin, and Tech Rally. You could check us out at the Not Null podcast. And if you want, go ahead, show some love to their YouTube channel here. I'll share it here. I'll also share the Spotify link. But it's a podcast around tech. You could check it out. If you're not like interested in tech discussions and like stuff that's happening, you obviously don't have to like it or watch it, but it'll be cool. Also, like, I've been really enjoying Remix to building stuff. If you're brand new to coding, I still say learn Next.js first. This is just way more popular. But once you know React fairly well, Remix is a really cool front-end framework. And so when I get to choose the tech stack, I always like choose Remix. I know at work I'm building a project using Next.js with all the Next.js 13 features, which is kind of cool. And yeah, so my favorite framework, Remix, Next.js, and then I just recently tried Vite or Vite, however you pronounce it. It's pretty cool. I guess it's a good, like a lot of times people will build their application using Create React App, but now majority of people will use Vite.js. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out and you're learning React as a beginner, like, build one project with Create React App to kind of see what it does, but then building all your following up projects using Vite, which has like a bunch of cool stuff out of the box that is very helpful. And let me know what's your favorite framework in the chat. I'd love to hear. Let me know like what tech you've been using to build cool things. Let me know. I'd love to hear about it. And let's see. And the final tip that I wanted to do before doing like a Q&A is if you're buying stuff on Udemy or stuff like that, sometimes you might buy a course and never take it for a long time to a point where it becomes outdated. And what I would say, number one, like if you have an outdated course, that's a lost cause. Like if it's definitely like over like 2 years or 1 year old or out, like it's like tech moves so fast that there's almost no point. And I feel shameful because I have so many Udemy courses and that I have that I didn't take. And then I'm like, hey, let me go like and take this course. And then I found out like, oh, Jesus, it's so outdated that it literally is not going to help me at this point. And it'll be way better for me to go ahead and redo. Like for instance, there's this end-to-end React with Prisma 2, and like a really good course, but it's so old and outdated. Like I don't recommend taking it because so much has changed, and you'd be better off just going to like the Prisma documentation, React documentation learning, and stuff like that. And so like be mindful of the courses you take. And by the way, this right here, JavaScript Data Structures and Algorithms by Scott Barrett, is a great data structure algorithm course if anybody's interested. Pretty cool and neat. Yeah, that's what I would do. Also, I did discover a new YouTube channel, which is kind of cool. Let's give it like that channel. Like pretty much every channel has more subscribers than I do, but Big Bucks SWE, this dude here, has an amazing channel. He's gonna blow up for sure. He only has like 4 videos, but they're already hitting like such crazy views: 10K, 60K, 150K, 185. This dude's gonna blow up for sure. But if you want to find some like really good, like useful content that shares like more of the honest opinion of like what it is to like learning to code, like check out Big Box SWE. And the final tip that I'm going to kind of leave you all with is when you're creating projects, building things, and sometimes like I'm definitely lazy, this is something that I'm trying to get better, is as a developer, you're going to have to, and look at this, I have another camera angle. That's kind of silly. Not as good as this one though. But whenever you're creating things, even small projects, it's very important to like create markdown documentation of how to at least use it. But taking a step farther, regardless if you share it on other websites or just do it for yourself, I think writing mini tutorials on what you've done is a great way to reinforce your learning. So I have some examples where I did it for work, and I was like, hey, this is kind of neat. Maybe I should do this also for myself. And so I created like some like tutorials of how to set up, you know, external email on Strapi Cloud. And it's like kind of cool way to reinforce like what you've learned is by writing about it. And writing is cool outside of making a video because it's actually way easier to write a blog post because you could make it as short as or concise as you want. Here's another one I wrote about extending and building custom resolvers for Strapi. Do you need to read these articles? No. The point that I'm saying is that start practicing writing a little markdown. And like a much better example here is I created a simple CLI tutorial and I went ahead and wrote it, and you should all be writing this in Markdown. And I wrote this mini tutorial of how to create a simple CLI, and I'll share it with you if you're interested. But the point is, the tip that I want to give you is practice writing either your code documentation of how to like get it started, or make little mini tutorials and write little markdown posts that describe what you did, because they will literally help you to iterate over the thought process of that you did building that thing, and help to cement what you learn, because you're literally taking what you learned and you're teaching it to somebody else. And one of the best ways to learn is through creating these like little mini tutorials. So that's my like little pro tip. And so let's open it to Q&A if you have any questions. And while we wait for questions, I'll just play with Chat GPT while we wait. And let's increase the font size here so it's easier to see. Yeah, maybe this is too big. We'll see. So if you have any questions, let me know before we go, or if you want to talk about something, and you could ask any question you like. And while I wait for questions, like ChatGPT has been like such a like great tool, and not so much just to kind of ask how to do something, but more importantly, like I have like conversations, like, you know, like what should I build? So the cool thing is, like, let's say you're wondering, like what project should I build? You could literally ask ChatGPT, as a brand new developer, what is a cool project I should build that would be awesome on my portfolio? And it almost doesn't matter what you type because it's just like a starting conversation. And basically the way I use ChatGPT is use it as a buddy to talk through my ideas, right? And so here it says, hey, build a personal portfolio website, which is kind of cool. And it gives you some ideas. But yeah, by the way, this is actually kind of awesome. Like if you didn't know like where to start, right? You're like, I don't know where to start. I just said, hey, as a brand new developer, give me some ideas. And it's like, hey, build a portfolio website. It talks about front end, back end. It tells you what to do. Like, it talks about using version control. That's kind of cool. And then maybe like, I don't want to do like all this stuff, but now you have an idea. Yeah. And yeah, we're doing Q&A now while I play with ChatGPT. So if you have questions, let me know. If you don't have questions, I totally get it. Sometimes people don't want to say stuff. One of the cool things like you could do with ChatGPT also, it's like if you have an idea for a project, like for instance, this is something that I wanted to create a simple tutorial for a simple Chrome extension. I was like, let's build a Chrome extension that download the video, but the way it's able to do that, it literally gets the URL automatically from the URL here, right? So all you would do is click, you know, boom, download. You don't even have to paste the URL here. Maybe this is something that I want to add to my extension that I built, but you could kind of talk through ChatGPT 3. I want to learn on how to build a Chrome extension. My first idea is to build a download YouTube video extension that will automatically detect the link in the browser. What do I need to know to make this happen? So I'm not even asking it to build the extension for me. I'm literally just having a conversation with it, kind of helping me to discover like the first steps, like what do I need to do? And so here it will kind of give me some outlines and kind of tips that I do. So I'm never looking for like a direct answer. I'm just having a conversation to kind of like my friend, my buddy. Let's see what Bram says. Bram said, hello, what would be, that would be against YouTube's TOS to build download. I'm just showing that as an example. By the way, I don't know if you you did see my recent plugin, but I basically made change for it. So my recent plugin now is I'm able to take short
When
videos,
the day came for Tanay to sit down and find out if any Ivy League
like web dev Cody, I created I reconfigured my plugin because what I wanted to do is like take short video content and
So a couple of days ago,
literally convert it into a full blog post. So you're able to go ahead, paste the URL. And so what it's doing, it's taking the content of the short video and is going to, if it doesn't crash, write a blog post based on, you know, the short video, which is kind of interesting. So it takes the short content and turns it into long form blog post, which I thought was kind of crazy. Again, it's not so much like, hey, is anybody going to use it or blah, blah, blah. It's more about like trying new things to learn cool things about stuff. But yeah, I hope you're doing good, Bram. I know we're at the end of our, Bogey, he's actually pretty awesome. He's on our Strappy Discord all the time, helping everybody else. But check this out. So we have this little blog post based on this short, describing the steps of how to get started with a Chrome extension, which is kind of cool. And so the point is, it's not so much what you're doing. It's more so much about building new things and trying new things out. Question: do you use subtitles for that? Like what the way like the plugin works, basically, the API, like all the logic lives in my Strappy backend. It basically will take this video, convert it to an audio file, and then it will take the audio file, transcribe it, and then I'll take that transcript, and then whatever that transcript is, I pass like a very crazy prompt. It'll go ahead and use OpenAI text completion to write the blog post. That's basically like the flow of it, and that's how it works. But I know we hit our hour mark, and I know it's Easter weekend. I think it's this week. I'm always so bad with holidays, but everybody that tuned in, thank you so much. Really awesome having you. And Bogey, I'll be back to work on Monday, so I'll catch up with you and see you then. But as always, like, thanks for stopping by, saying hi. And to all of you wonderful people, I love you all. I don't even know why you watch my streams, but thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. Without you, this would not exist. And Bogey says, but this means that if they don't show something on the screen, only you would have an issue. I mean, if they don't speak, for instance, if there's no text, then yeah, there will be an issue. And thanks everyone for stopping by. And yeah, I'll continue doing these streams regardless how many people show up. And yeah, Bogey, see you Monday. Really, really fun. Bliss says, have a great weekend, and thanks for the tips. Now, thank you all for stopping by, and please share these videos because it definitely helps me to get more people. I do want to continue to stream every Friday and Saturday. I want to continue to, like, obviously grow how many people watch the stream. So any little help that you could do by liking, by sharing, whatever, it definitely helps. But with that being said, like, I love all of you. I hope you have a wonderful holiday. If you celebrate Easter, happy Easter. If you celebrate other holidays, happy to those as well. But more importantly, stay awesome, continue to learn to code, and I'll see you in the next stream. Thanks so much. And I'm going to leave you with the end. Are you not free on Monday? That's a good question. I'll have to check. I'll ask Derek if we have a holiday since it's Easter. Well, Easter is Sunday, right? And so I don't know if we get the Monday. I'm gonna ask Derek. He should know, but maybe I won't. Like, if Monday is a day off, I'll still hang out on Discord. Like, I'll do that for sure. But I think, like, I have to be there on Monday. We'll find out. But great point. I see. This is how I don't know any holidays that I don't even know when to take time off work for holidays. But the great reminder. But thank you all. Like I was gonna say, without you, this wouldn't exist. So love you all, and I'm gonna leave you with an outro song that you don't have to stick through and watch. But yeah, so second Easter day. True. Yeah, I'm gonna find out. Maybe I don't have to work on Monday, which will be interesting. I'll double check and check that out. But I think it's not a holiday though, to be honest. Like, that's because we do holidays that are like approved by the government. Like, they have to be government holidays. I don't think if Easter Monday is a holiday, but I'll find out. But anyway, I'll leave you off with the end of show song, and you don't have to watch it, but I've been getting to music, and still the old song until the new song comes out. But I'll just leave you with that if you're interested. And you could always rewatch these streams. Let me know. And please let me know what kind of content you want to see me make. I'd love to hear, like, your ideas so I could actually make more useful stuff for you. But thanks for stopping by. Have a great weekend, and I'll see everybody later.